One moment. You are live.
Hello and welcome to the 15 July 2024 meeting of the Annapolis Transportation Board. The last two meetings, I gather, which I was not able to attend, were in fact sparsely attended by other people too. And I hope things go better tonight, but you never know. First of all, let's do a short count. Tara, those people that show on the screen are in attendance, and I assume you can
I just see four of
do
us
the
on
count.
board.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6.
Who are the other two? They don't show on the screen.
Well, there's David DeQuincio,
Okay.
Tara, Hugh,
David and
Zoe.
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right, proceeding with the agenda. We have the roll call accomplished by video. Are there any changes to the agenda that anyone would like to propose? If not, I will move to acceptance of the last two sets of minutes, which were sent to you earlier today, prepared by Tara. I'll take a motion to approve.
A motion.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. And I see a majority, so we are through that. There is no public participation that I'm aware of. Our city council member could not attend tonight. So we will move directly to the Annapolis Transportation Department. And Marcus, you have a few things to say and some people to introduce.
Hi, yeah. Good evening, everyone. Marcus Moore, Director of Transportation and Parking. I got some good news to kind of share with you here. First, I'd like to do some introductions of Mr. William Rao and Mr. Vinod Abraham joining our team. Mr. Abraham is new to the city of Annapolis, and he's joining us as our parking program manager. Mr. William Rao, that most of you do know, has worked in the mayor's office for several years, since the mayor's inception, and he's joining our team. We're really happy to have him as of July 1. There's our new bicycle pedestrian mobility manager, and we're looking for some great things from both these guys as we kind of build Annapolis around the green space. So the parking program manager will manage the city's parking assets, the contractors, and ensure that the parking is properly operated as we have in code and maintained as it should. This will include the day-to-day operations as well as our garages, surface lots, street parking. And after I do a quick introduction of Mr. Rao, I'll ask that Mr. Abraham and Mr. Rao kind of give a little update on themselves or what they would like to let us know. Our bike ped mobility manager is Mr. William Rao, who'll be responsible for developing and implementing an outreach program that supports the expansion of the city's green transition with regards to sustainable pedestrian, biking, walking routes and paths. And many of you know him, and you probably can give us a snapshot of what he's done. But if I can let Mr. Abraham go first, then followed by William Rao, and then I'll talk a little bit about our micro mobility if I can.
You bet.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vinod Abraham. I'm the new parking program manager at the Annapolis Department of Transportation under Marcus Moore. And I'm here with almost 15 years of operations management experience. And I bring with me experiences from other industries. And I look forward to serving the people of the city and work alongside y'all. Thank you.
Well, welcome. We had the pleasure of meeting at the last meeting of the
Yes, sir.
Transportation Committee, so I'm
Yes.
delighted to see you here as well.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
Thank you, Vinod. Will? I think you're still muted there, Will.
The mute, no, the mute is not indicated.
Nope, Will, we can't hear you.
He just speaks very softly.
He does. He carries a big stick, right?
Yes. Well, I hope he can solve that problem there.
Will, you might try clicking on the arrow next to your audio button and make sure that the right microphone is selected. Should be your webcam microphone. Because I see that you do have audio, but we're just not picking you up.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Uh-oh, we
Not
could.
now.
I'm just joking.
That was a good one. You got us.
That's right. I'm trying. Look, listen. I'm trying to make sure the transportation board is on their toes.
Lip
So
reading
first
is
of all-
not something we have mastered yet.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
yeah. First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me and Vinod to be here and introduce ourselves. Mostly because I think I can speak a little bit for all of us. We're pretty excited, Jamar included, pretty excited to be entering a new phase of pushing the transportation department even further under the leadership of Marcus. I'll be joining, I have joined per Gavin's vision for really invigorating our bike system, our pedestrian system, and really completing some projects. As you all know, we have a pretty large network of projects that are involving trails, bike lanes, walking trails, all of those that are meant to connect all of the different spaces in the city that make this city so great, but with the larger vision and the future vision of being able to make this a more walkable and bikeable city. And for those of us contextually who understand what this city has been, what it is now, and what it could be, it's pretty exciting because we have a bunch of projects, whether it's park, water access projects, and others, that all essentially, to me, don't work unless they connect with our transportation system. And unless there's a, very keen understanding of what it means when you give people an opportunity to connect to all of these great new things that are coming to the city. And so I'm excited because, as you know, we have the Inner Wee Trail, that connects to the Poplar Trail. And, the mayor's vision is to take it all the way out to Waterworks. But even more so, working with John Corrin and Bike AAA, what we do know also is that there's this interconnecting web of trails that extend way into the county. And so the dream is to be able to connect those systems so that if you live in Severna Park, you can very easily come to Annapolis and spend your money. So we can spend more money on transportation, right? And even bolster our system even more. So I'm excited to be working with the staff, and there'll be many more updates. Marcus has really welcomed me and extended a wealth of information. Jamar is, a wealth of knowledge, and I haven't even begun learning from everything that he does, because he does everything under the sun. And I'm really looking forward to working with Vinod on parking and how that intersects, of course, with our trail system, and of course, with getting people out of their cars, getting people to really understand that in any city that you live in, anywhere in the world, the idea that
could you try again?
That's my Siri. Sorry, probably letting me know I'm talking too much. So the last thing I'll say is, the really exciting thing is to think that we live in a city where you can, in 10 minutes, discover nature, go into the woods, hike, all of those things. In 10 minutes, you can get to the water. In 10 minutes, you can be outside of the city center and in some of the other areas where people live that maybe they need to get to work by jumping in their car. Can you imagine a city where there's less cars on the road, less cars having to park, and more people out and about, getting to know each other, experiencing all the amazing businesses that we have. And I'm excited about that. So I look forward to working with you all. And in many instances on a lot of these projects, I'm really excited about taking you all's lead also, since you all have been working on this. And I know that as a board, you all really have, I see that there's a strong need to be activated and to really be utilized and to use you all's expertise as we begin to work on these systems and these connecting webs of trails. And I'm not sure that's how much that's been done in the past, but I think it's an amazing opportunity. So thank you all.
Welcome to you, Will, in your new role. I'm delighted to see you here, and you bring enthusiasm and skill that you've demonstrated magnificently in other areas. I'm glad to see you applying your talents here.
Thank you.
Your particular niche in this business is near and dear to a number of us here on the board. And later, if we have time, I will summarize some experiences I had a couple of weeks ago in the Netherlands, which has some lessons for us, I think. And with that, I will go on to the next item in the agenda.
Can I?
Yeah.
I'm not quite done yet, Kurt. If I
Oh,
can
yes,
go
you
further.
do. You have one more thing.
Yeah, a couple more things. So thank you,
Microtransit.
Kurt. Yeah. So yeah, today we kicked off our microtransit. I'm really excited about it. It's a new service called GoTime, which is kind of like Uber and Lyft on-demand service, where it moves people around, like I said, with Uber and Lyft, but a lot cheaper. This pilot program is starting out with just replacing the orange and the purple, but the redundancy for the first month as people learn about the service, the orange and the purple will continue along while we get this going. We have two quick, very short videos. One is one that we're really proud that put together by Mark's team there with CCTV and Julian and Mitchell and Will and Jamar and a few other people, Pantha and all, that talks about it and how it works. So last Wednesday we met at the office, our office, and we talked more about it. And we had some reporters there to kind of get some information. And they have a WJZ did a nice little article piece, I should say, on Friday the 12th. So Mark, if you can share the GoTime that we produce, followed by the other, then we'll talk more about it. And Mr. Parker can kind of help answer some of the questions that you guys might have.
Ready?
Yep.
Hey, Annapolis, it's GoTime. On-demand transit that takes you where you want to go. It's fast, it's easy, and it's an affordable way to get around Annapolis. Going to the doctor? It's GoTime. Going shopping? It's GoTime. Exploring Annapolis? It's GoTime. It's easy to schedule your ride. Use the app or call Transportation Dispatch at 410-263-7964. Set your pickup and your destination, and we'll be right there. Simply track the bus on the app so you'll know exactly when we'll be there to pick you up. Pay once you're on the bus. Just $2 per ride and only $1 for seniors. Or you can use your daily, weekly, monthly, or annual bus pass. Getting around Annapolis is easy with Annapolis GoTime. On-demand transit. See you on board.
He's a natural, isn't he? We have one more coming.
Hey,
Yes.
Marcus, can we get that
Yes.
phone number? That 410 dispatch number?
Yeah, that's our number on our website, 410-79. JP, remind me, I never remember our number. Go ahead, JP.
It's 410-363-7964. 7964
I missed the middle.
263.
263. Thanks so much.
Were we supposed to see the video?
Yeah, we're gonna see the other one. We saw one. Did you see yours video, Will?
Oh no, I didn't see anything. That's why I was wondering if it
Oh,
was
wow.
just
Oh, yeah, it came through for most
Yeah, I saw
everybody
it.
else.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
everybody
normal
else.
people. All right.
Oh. Now we'll see the WJZ. They did an article, 6 o'clock, I think, news, JP, on Friday, and Mitchell sent it around to us, which was really pretty good.
Bus service in the city of Annapolis is getting a bit of a makeover. It is called Go Time, and it's an on-demand bus service that operates sort of like Uber. City leaders say Go Time will replace the city's more underutilized bus routes.
Anne Arundel County community reporter Caroline Forbach is on your corner in Annapolis with what bus riders have to say about the change.
From waiting for the bus to calling on the bus when you're ready.
Just get on the bus and go where I gotta go.
On Monday, the city of Annapolis will convert 2 bus routes, the Orange Route and the Purple Route, to an on-demand transit service called Go Time.
I think it'd be more convenient.
To use Go Time service, customers will need to download a free app called Transigo, where they can select their pickup and drop-off locations within 3/4 of a mile of the current Orange and Purple routes. Then, the driver can take passengers from their pickup location to their destination without having to travel the entire route, because Go Time serves a geographic zone instead of a specific route.
It's faster. You catch the orange and then take you straight to where you want to go, so make another stop. It would be a little faster to get where you're going.
With Go Time, a computer maps out the ideal route to minimize travel time for both riders and drivers.
It would be like easier for the bus to get around traffic if it could like find different ways to go instead of going on one certain route.
Passenger fares and hours of operation will stay the same. City officials say the Orange and Purple routes were the most underutilized, and Go Time will be more efficient. Transportation Director Marcus Moore said in a statement, quote, "Annapolis is a compact city, and we can offer more efficient service to customers by replacing underperforming fixed routes with a more flexible and responsive on-demand service."
Now, this change starts on July 15th, but both the fixed routes and Go Time will run simultaneously for the first 4 weeks so that customers can get accustomed to the new service. Reporting on your corner in Annapolis, Caroline Forbach for WJZ.
Very nice.
So what we like to do is entertain any questions, but let me give you a little bit more feedback on this is a pilot program. And a lot of these organizations or companies, like IT Curves is who we partnered with to develop the software and the algorithms to do this for us. So one of the things that we're doing as a pilot, as they mentioned, the Orange and the Purple are the most underutilized routes that we have. Orange runs from 5:30 in the morning till about 7, Monday through Friday. The Purple Route picks up after all the other routes have finished, Monday through Saturday, beginning at around 7 to 10:35, and all day Sunday. And when we have a holiday schedule on a Sunday schedule on a holiday. So when you look at 3/4 of a mile of the Orange Route, if we, I'm gonna get Jamar to kind of kick in a little bit here, but between, let's say, Robinwood, coming up Forest Drive, it comes down through Bywater and Newtown Drive, and it traverses all the way that Spa Road to West Street around Church Circle and back again. And the Purple, we have a Purple North and South, which covers the majority of the city, which would be the brown, the red, the green, but not much of the orange. So when you look at 3/4 of a bus stop, people can now get from, let's just say, Glenwood, Morris Bloom, Senior Center to Gralls, because that was a part of the 3/4 of a mile from where our fixed route was on the Orange. And that was a very underutilized area, trying to get those seniors disabled to, a place that they could shop. So when you start looking at other areas, like, well, what about, remember, this is a pilot and growing. So other places where, let's just say, Bay Forest, Giant, during the day, the Orange doesn't go that far down, but the purple does, like right now we're at 7 o'clock, so the purple's covering most of the territory that we have. So you could actually go on your app and grab a route, and it'll tell you between 15, well, maybe between 5 and 15 minutes. And JP can get in a little bit more of the algorithms, and we can answer some of the questions you have, because somebody's going to say, well, what about this area? What about this area? We're growing. And this was day one, and we're actually 14 hours into it. I believe we've carried maybe a dozen people so far. So really getting the marketing out there, getting the word out there. And as the riders did say, you know, if I was on the orange coming from Robinwood and I need to go to Church Circle, that kind of a ride, if I'm the only one on the bus or two others, I got to go all the way around Forest Drives, you know, back to Bywater, Newtown Drive, Spa Road, and, you know, 25 minutes later, I'll get to 80 Weston Calvert. So this cuts out a lot of the areas that you don't need to go. And it'll also help us during the middle of the day when there's no need for a fixed route, remember, on demand. It is our hope that we can grow the city to provide the service as needed on demand versus running a bus all the time just because it's that kind of a schedule. So what we've paid up front was for the, you know, you never get their software license. You're always software as a service. So you lease that. You know, the equipment we had to buy up front, which are the iPads and the other screens and the training of our employees, we have the money to fund this for 3 years. And then it becomes an operating expense, but hopefully we can still grow this even more. But I'd like to hear some of the questions and concerns that you guys might have. And I have Jamar, who's our superintendent of operations and maintenance. He came in this morning. I'm surprised he's still wide awake at 5 o'clock this morning to make sure whatever support he can give to the staff, which he always does. But I'd like to hear, and we can still come back and talk more in September as we learn more and as you guys get a chance to ride. And we'll be more than happy to help you download the app, talk you through the app. And once you find out how easy it is, how convenient this will be, this is a win-win for all of us.
Very good. Questions. I'll start with questions. There may be some from other members of the board. One of them was already answered, and that was why the orange and purple lines were selected. The other question relates to the pilot aspect of the program. I gather it depends upon funding, which is not necessarily solid for the future. How is it funded in this initial pilot stage?
Yeah, this was funded through, what we went through our budget process. So this was an RFP that went out. And if you guys can kind of remember when the garage, Hillman that is, came down for repair in May of 2022, we had something called Annapolis Go, powered by VIA. They did a turnkey, soup to nuts, drivers, vehicles, insurance, wrapping, in the same kind of scenario. That's what it is. And that was very, very expensive, in the tune of probably $840,000 for 14 months. We have $80,000 for 3 years. And we're very confident. A lot of that was up front, as I mentioned, things that we don't have to buy over again. For the software as a science or software as a solution, I can look it up, but it's probably $12,000 to $15,000 for the software. We have the funds to run this for 3 years, and then becomes a part of our operating expense. We want to look at, growing more and more to be that on demand, and we can give you some real life situations of how they came up today. Those that booked the trip on their app, those that called in to this, dispatch to get a reservation, what the first one was, how it went. Was hoping that we could, talk to that first rider, but this is day one. We have a lot of more data to gather, but that's where we are. It will definitely be cheaper, and I think the question you'll ask too, not at the beginning because of the redundancy. I'm still running the purple right now, purple north and south. That's went online at 7 o'clock, and in the microtransit on demand is out there also to take reservations. And during the day, Monday through Friday, one orange bus is out there from, like I mentioned, 5:30 to like 6:45. So we don't want to leave anybody behind. And there is always that learning curve of trying to get the word out. So our PIO, Mitchell, has been very astute with getting information out, Spanish and English. I was looking to see if I have any of the cards, but I welcome any and all of you, to come by and see me or Jamar or his staff to, learn more about how to do it. But we have these cards. I don't know if you can actually see it here, but we've been passing those out to folks on the gold, the purple tonight and the orange earlier in the day. And we have ambassadors that will get going out there as well. Change is hard. And sometimes change is not always welcomed. But when you find out how easy it can be, that's where we want to grow and, turn the page here.
Yeah. Do I understand correctly that this, basically city funds are funding the pilot, and they comprise $80,000 plus what you were already spending on the orange and purple lines?
Right. So remember, that's our own city staff.
Yeah.
And that'll go on for approximately, until, Jamar thinks we've advertised, it'll go on for 1 month. And we think you may only need it 2 weeks, but since we said 1 month, to make sure no one's left behind. And we have a very good staff behind the scenes of that number, the 410-263-7964, that can answer and put in the reservation on how that all works. So if somebody, got lost or confused, I can't get the app to work, we'll be able to hold hands and, walk people through. We understand that that's a process when things change, as things change.
Good. Any other questions or remarks from members of the board?
I don't know, Hugh, whether you or I had our hand up first, but I'll
You can go. You can go first.
Okay, thank you. So it's unclear what the app is when you go to the app store. Is it the T+ Go with a navy background, or is it the regular transit app that currently gives bus line timing? Which app is it?
Yes, not the Transit Go. Jamar can probably show it to you. It is
because there's
the
multiple. When you Google Transit Go, you have quite a few options.
Can you see?
No.
Yes, Transit Go. It'll show us not the transit app, but
See
so
that?
we can go there.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I don't know if we can go back to what Will had on the video or what was shown. It's kind of hard to show electronic device on electronic device.
Marcus, there's also a QR code, right?
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which might be easier for people, like the QR code.
I don't know, Mark, if
And
we can get
that's
to
posted on your website, the QR code?
Yes,
Thanks.
there is a press release on the front of the website that talks about it. It spells it out. It does step by step.
Thank you.
Okay.
Marcus, the question I had real quick was, is there any plans on doing any payments inside the app, or has the company that is selling us the software solution, have they done that for other companies before?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and many companies have come to us about payment options because right now we only accept cash on board. So if you were to buy a weekly, monthly, yearly, or whatever, you can do that at our office, and that can be used as payment as you scan on our electronic fare box. So as we grow, Hugh, that is definitely something that will be instituted as an option later on. It may not be, when I say later on, it's not talking like 3 to 5 years from now. It really could be pretty quickly done in the next 6 months to a year. But that is an option. Thanks for asking that.
So they've done that. They've done payments inside the apps for other transportation departments before.
Oh, they have. Yeah. If you look at, that's a good question. If you want, we can revisit this in September when we meet again. But having IT curves, what we'll probably do IT Curves is willing and able to meet at the next ATC, which will be in September. But they can also be here to answer any questions at the ATB and share with you other places they've helped out, other agencies they've helped out around the metropolitan area. They're actually local. JP is at Gaithersburg, Montgomery County.
Yeah, Gaithersburg.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I just, if you already have the app, it seems like that, and you can get that functionality in there. It seems like it would make it a lot smoother process.
It would. And one of the things to think about too, I don't know how quickly it went through, but the same payment. So remember, during school in session, K through 12 is free. So the seniors and all $1. So as city employees, you're making your reservation, but you're not paying to get on board. So once you get on board, then we're weeding out how it is a senior, disabled, a student, an employee, but also like you just mentioned, Hugh, we have this electronic fare box that can take multiple types of readers for that day pass, that weekly pass, or some other mobile app kind of thing, and that's a really good point to be made.
Cool. All right, Tara has a hand up, I believe. Tara?
No, Kurt, my questions, I went first before.
Oh, I see. The hand is still up. Gotcha.
Oh, sorry. Let me get rid of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't resist saying that, observing that a lot of your pains and perhaps expenses have to do with fares and how to collect them. And there's a lot of work and a lot of expense to collect and not very much money. So I hearken back to our prior recommendation that we think very seriously about moving toward fare free ultimately. Does that do it for your group, Marcus?
Yeah, one last point. Kwaku got tied up with some stuff, but you do know we had our TDP kickoff. JP helped me. It was 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday, where we met with representative of the board here was Beth, and we had a list of folks that were there, and we've gotten the first report out, and it will. Fare free will be looked at, as well as the whole health of the system, of how we can be more connected with the county and other. But every 5 years, by the grants that we get, we're required to have a transit development plan performed by outside transportation planning company, which is KFH. So more to follow on that, and they'll be making presentations in the fall. So 5 years ago, in the fall of 2019, they did present to the full council. And I think I gave to you, Kurt. If I didn't, I can make sure I send it to you tomorrow, their report of 2019. And I can give you like the technical memorandum of #1 of the background of previous findings as a starting point. And we can definitely keep you abreast along the way what that looks like. Because one of the things, we're all for, looking at making it better for most or all if we can, but it's not just the fares that we get from the riders, the fares that we get from, operating in the county and in the state. So that is like 1/3 of the monies that we get in. Yeah. So making that pitch to the city council, it may not be that just that $325,000 that you might see. It might be closer to $950,000 that others may not know about. So, over the 10-year period, you're looking at, quite a bit of money. But it's not to say it can't be done.
Our hope was that those two revenue streams could be separated, and that the retail level of your fare box would go to zero, but those other funds would remain flowing to you.
It'd be great if it would, but if you think about the state and they can use the money somewhere else and it's for their employees, let's say if you're going free, why am I paying? Mm-hmm. That's the same thing with the county, but let's see what it goes. And, it is worth arguing. It is worth, the thought to bring up of what we can possibly do to make it better for those that really, want to, need to use our service. So Yeah, I
Good.
hear the arguments and, appreciate all your help with doing that with us
Okay,
and for us.
great. We'll keep pushing.
Yep.
All right, thanks a bunch. Next item on the agenda is board membership. I have nothing to report apart from the fact that Alderman Savage said that he had a name that was about to enter the pipeline, but I have not seen it yet. Moving then to old business, and by the way, I ask you again, as I always do in every meeting, if you know of people who are interested in participating as a member of the board, let me know, and we'll try to make the necessary connections to see that that they join us. Moving to old business, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the results that I have produced as an addendum to our prior recommendation to the city regarding a change in the parking ordinance. And we made a number of changes. A number of them were adopted, accepted, and are in the new version of the ordinance. One of the core recommendations, though, was simply not acted on. And so it seemed useful to continue to find information, perform additional analysis to see whether or not that recommendation could be strengthened. And I think I've done that. I distributed to you a paper that I propose that the board endorse and forward to the city, which provides supplementary data and argument, strengthening our original recommendation that one of the parking districts, Parking District 5, be abolished. And with your indulgence, I will go through some of the arguments that are made in this addendum. First of all, well, I found there were really 5 points. The Parking District 5, as I look at it, simply does not connect with the requirements of the law. And if you read the wording of the ordinance, it very clearly establishes what the ordinance is for, and that is to meet a need. And the need is defined as a lack of convenient parking for residents. In the area of West Annapolis presently, within Parking District 5, by any measure, there is a lot of parking, private parking, which is already available to residents. And so the desire, and I really characterize it as a desire rather than a need, the desire to provide on-street parking, which is restricted against those people who live outside the district, is redundant to resources that already exist privately. Virtually every house has available to it either a garage or a driveway or a parking lot, which is free and available to them already. In the entire parking district, I can find only one house that does not have one of those 3 private options available to it. And so the preference for on-street parking to be restricted to those people who live in District 5 is only that. It is a preference, and it is not a need which is being met by the ordinance. The another point, and I'm not going to go through, you can read the paper in its detail, and I hope some of you have already. The second point is that if you look at the individual streets that are in the defined parking district, you will find that one of them has 0 residents. This is a residential parking permit district. And it's very hard to understand how you need to provide residential parking on a street which has no residents. So at a minimum, that street, according to the requirements of the ordinance, should not be in the district at all. Overall, I think that the requirements of the ordinance are not met. There is no need that the parking district is satisfying, which is not already satisfied by private parking available to virtually everybody who lives within the district. The third point is, well, the parking district makes available the possibility of purchasing residential parking permits. What is the demand? The total demand is 13. In the entire parking district, 13 people have applied for and received residential parking permits, and I would characterize that number as a very small number. Furthermore, to complicate the matter, it appears to me that 4 of those 13 are not qualified to apply or to hold those permits. And if that is correct, for example, some of them have one person has a residence listed outside of Annapolis. 3 others don't live in Annapolis at all. And furthermore, the address listed for those 3 permits is a business that has no residence at that address. That business has a number of private parking spaces behind the building. And so I would recommend that those permits be looked at to see whether the individuals qualify. All 3 individuals are registered to vote in another city. The fourth, no, that was third. The last is that a parking district in the permits that are sold and in fines that are levied again for violation of parking district rules generates some revenue for the city. It appears that the total revenue generated by this parking district for the city is approximately $500. And so it's very hard to see how the trouble, the expense that the city goes through to create and maintain and operate the parking district together with enforcement, how that is justified by the meager revenue of about $500 annually, which is collected. Parenthetically, I had a chance to speak to 2 of those 9 permit, actually the holders of 3 of those 9 permits, to just find out what their pleasure was. And what do you think of this parking permit that you purchased? One of them instantly responded, I wish we did not have the parking district. We spoke against it, and I only buy it because my husband bought it, and he's no longer alive. So I think she is not only going to peel off personally, but is opposed as a present permit holder. The other 2 permits are held by a person who is somewhat equivocal, did buy the permits, as she said, out of some fear that the restaurants on Annapolis Street would be generating a parking demand that would spill over into her neighborhood. She observes, as in fact all of us have observed, there is no such spillover that is generating a parking problem. West Annapolis is amply endowed with parking. It's available everywhere. And so in my opinion, the parking district serves no real need. So that summarizes the points that are made in the paper, and I recommend that you read it in detail. Since it was delivered to you only a few hours ago, you may not be comfortable with voting to forward this to the city just yet, but I will take comment and suggestions right now about how you as a board would like to proceed. Any thoughts on parking district number 5? And how to move forward with this?
Kurt, I have a question. Have
Yes.
you have some, it sounds like anecdotal information or the research, you've talked to folks in that district. Do you have any like more formal assessment of opinions or thoughts from that ward?
No, there has been discussion in one of the meetings of the Civic Association, which has A number of residents, not all. And there has been discussion of that over a year ago. And there was expressed at that time a fear of restaurant parking spillover. But that's the only thing that I'm aware of.
That's what I just would want to make sure that the residents, we had a formal, input from either the restaurants, the school, West Annapolis, or the restaurants there, because there's just a lot of competing uses and folks interested in parking.
The ordinance does require that prior to changes that public input be sought. And so I think that your suggestion is absolutely on target, that we make sure that provision is followed and that there are public hearings, public communication on any proposal to do away with the parking district. I think that, by the way, this is my least favorite subject. And I got dragged into it somewhat reluctantly. I think the core of our transportation issues really lie in bicycle, pedestrian transportation, and transit, and it's in all of its forms, including microtransit. Parking is more a benefit, a public benefit, which is paid for publicly and is theoretically available to the public because the public paid for it. But in certain exceptional circumstances, that benefit is restricted under the parking district ordinance when special circumstances apply, because there is no private parking. And it certainly is true in downtown Annapolis that is the case. Many, if not most, residents have to park on street. There's really no alternative. But in West Annapolis, that seems not to be the case. So I suggest that you read this carefully, that we take it up for a vote at the next meeting, unless there's strong opinion among our members right now that we should, that you've read it and would like to take a vote now. Any response? Hearing nothing, I will just lay it on the table. Please look at it.
I need more time to read it.
Okay, that's great. I anticipated that would be the case. And so we will take it up at the next meeting. And while I'm speaking of the next meeting will be September. We normally take a vacation in August. And so I suggest we follow that custom unless there is an objection. We meet again in September. Furthermore, I suggest that we have an in-person meeting for the first time in a long time, and that we alternate in-person and Zoom meetings thereafter. Is there opinion on that subject, for or against?
I think we're going to have trouble getting enough people if we do Zoom meetings. I mean, I said I think we're going to have trouble getting enough people if we were in person on a regular basis.
Yes. Well, I agree, and that's why the option of alternating is a possibility. David, you had something?
Yeah, Kurt, even if it's only a few times a year, even if it's only twice a year, we should at least try to meet in person every once in a while. It doesn't have to be every other, but we should at least try.
Yes, I've heard that sentiment expressed a number of times.
Mr. Chair, if
Yes.
I may, from a technical perspective, I just want to make sure that the board is aware that if they meet in person, it will not be recorded or live streamed. So that's important to keep in mind.
Question for you. Some of the boards and commissions do both. And those which are fortunate enough to get a slot in the city council chamber, for example, I understand do both. If we were able to arrange that for rare public meetings, could it be dual?
Yes, it can. It would need to be, as you said, approved and scheduled, and the building needs to be unlocked. And we would have to physically be in the TV studio in order to do that, but it is certainly doable.
Okay.
Okay.
I will look into that. Is it, does it meet with the approval of the board generally that we will aim at an in-person meeting in September, see how that goes, and decide thereafter how frequently, if or how frequently we will repeat that in-person meeting? Any objections to?
I support it.
Okay, David?
Me too.
All right. I'm not taking a formal vote. Are there any strong objections to starting trying a trial this way in September?
I think you've lucked out, Kurt, with having none of your objectors from previous attempts on the call tonight. So you
Is that right?
timed it well.
Oh, yeah. My goodness. How clever, huh? All right. We'll plan to meet in person in September. Thanks very much.
Kurt, I saw that I think of last week's or week before city council meeting, Alderwoman O'Neill introduced some legislation that would prevent standing committee meetings from meeting on the same night as city council meetings.
Yes.
And I don't know if where that is in the process of getting approved, but Monday nights, isn't Monday night the city council?
City council meets on alternate Mondays and we meet on the off Monday.
Okay. Because I think there have been conflicts in the past with regard to that. I just want to make sure that for our
that has not been a conflict for us. Our only conflicts have been on those Mondays, which happen to be holidays.
Okay.
Okay, great. I would like to welcome Alderwoman Pindell Charles, who joined a few minutes late. There was no input from City Council, and I would be delighted to give you the floor at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you everyone here. Yes, I was late working on something for tomorrow. I have no reports or updates. I have not talked to Chairwoman O'Neill. We did not have a meeting this month. We did not have any legislation. So she indicated there would be no meeting. So I don't have any updates at this point unless she's provided something to you. But I don't have anything and I don't want to speak out of turn.
Okay, well, thanks so much for dropping in on us.
Certainly.
And so I'll move on to the next item. I have a catch-all bicycles thing. I have nothing in mind and nothing that I know is hot, but those people, Hugh, for example, who may have something to say about bicycle transportation, have the floor.
The only thing I'm going to say is, Zoe, do you have any update?
Oh, on the bike path?
Yeah.
Nope, we're still targeting this fall for our the two design alternatives to come to 30% design.
Okay.
So no further update.
And what is the situation regarding our recommendation, in fact, the city's recommendation, because they endorsed our recommendation as a city council that the segment, which is the Naval Academy Bridge, be included in a separate bike path. Is there any movement on that?
Yeah, that's gone to the state department, the state highway administration for consideration.
Okay. Do you have any information that indeed they are aware of it and are looking at it?
I believe, yes, there's been an email from, I think, Hugh and from the city that has gone to the state, the project coordinator. So I don't know of any formal response back. I think it was a question, or they were going to bring it up at the next board meeting or work group meeting, which we haven't really. They're currently where we are and where the Navy sits on in terms of our opinion on it, is that we really need to understand these two design alternatives and what they look like when they go to 30% design, so we can identify, what's the best fit on our property and what we can support from an infrastructure perspective, since this is an existing infrastructure improvement project. And we don't want to we need to just have an understanding of that. We can't just sort of say we're going to pick the one alternative that supports, a protected lane, because we have to have a good understanding of the tie-in on our side of the bridge. And so we won't know that until this fall. Both of the projects, which we have been trying to emphasize in the community and in the article in the paper, both alternatives. One alternative is a shared use path, and on the other side of the street is improved sidewalk. That alternative feeds off of the existing lane on the bridge. So there would be a shared use path on the bridge. It's just not a protected lane on the bridge. So the article was a little bit incorrect in that it says that there is no component of the project on the bridge, which is not correct. What is not included is a protected lane on the bridge. Both alternatives utilize the existing lanes on the bridge. One multi-directional and the other, bi-directional. So what is being asked by the city in the ordinance or the resolution is that the state consider a protected lane. Yes. That will involve approximately, I think they estimated $4 million and additional design and structural analysis of the bridge to see if it can accommodate either jackhammering and removing the existing sidewalk to make it one surface, or putting additional pavement on concrete on one side of the bridge to raise it so they can get the width they need. There has been no decision from that I've seen from the State Highway Administration to move forward with that design.
All right, thank you. Will, a question for you. Have all of the right-of-way impediments on the Wee Trail been solved, or are there still segments that are hanging?
There are still segments that are hanging. That's actually one of project 1 or 2 that needs to be, we have to complete some of those systems. So I think we're going to be moving hopefully at warp speed on getting those approvals.
So what's the prognosis for solving that kind of nasty problem?
The prognosis is, I think, really having a very clear roadmap with some benchmarks to ensure that we complete aspects of this project, of the multiple projects. So one of my goals is, as we've been talking about, and Marcus and I and Gavin has been to push it further to ensure that at very least there's aspects of a particular part of the trail that is complete, per what you're saying, in terms of right-of-ways and things of that nature. So I'll be giving an update once there's a true handoff with Brian Callahan, because he, as you all know, he's been kind of working with Eric Lashinsky on most of this. So I'm about a week in. So
is the portion of the trail under the power line clear? That's not going to be a problem, is it?
No, I think that's clear. I think there are, right of ways and permitting stuff that still need to happen, but I don't see any roadblocks. My last communication with Eric and Brian about that is that it's moving pretty well. Okay. The other one is off of Hilltop. We just did a site visit over there to look at off of Hilltop as it turns towards Forest Drive. There's some good stuff happening there as well. We got some okay on some of those spaces. So I'll be giving an update as soon as I get, all of the information for each of those parts. Because again, the goal is to make it more cohesive and finish it. I did want to give Chair, if there's an opportunity for me to also give a bike update.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So on July 18th, the Marshall Center, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with that, but the Marshall Center has a summer camp. And their camp is having some events on that day in Quiet Waters. And what we've been working on is getting Bike AAA, their Crownsville site, where they repair bikes, which is pretty amazing. I've been trying to broker along with our police department for them to be able to help them transport bicycles, because they'll be delivering bicycles that have been repaired to members of the camp. So I think that's pretty awesome. And that's coming up July 18th at the Marshall Camp at the White Oak Pavilion at Quiet Waters at 9 a.m. And so we'll also have officers, some of the APD bike patrol there to take part in it. So I think that's pretty exciting. I also wanted to let you all know about something that happened a few weeks ago. There's a group of cyclists from Prince George's County that do rides through Annapolis. Their last ride that they had, the cyclists report that they were called racial names, which I won't repeat for fear of re-traumatizing anyone, but they weren't pleasant at all. And initially it happened on King George Street. They were spat at or spat upon, and they were sprayed with mace. And these, this is a cycling group comprised of mostly African Americans, and they normally come from Prince George's County and drive down to the city of Annapolis and right around City Dock and stuff like that. Well, this time they had that particular incident happen, and so out of this, myself, in talking with Bike AAA and others and members of this team or this group of riders, they wanted to do what we had loosely titled a unity ride, and that is for them to reclaim that ride. And instead of making like a really big fuss about it and having a big event, what they wanted to do was just reclaim that particular route and go that route again, which I have, and we're working on a date for it. My hope is that the city and what we're doing in conjunction with them will encourage them to continue riding here and not see this entire city behaves the way that some members of whoever was in the city that night dealt with them. So the tentative date is August 23rd, and they're called Push and Pedals. So Friday, August 23rd, they want to do a night ride that starts at 8 p.m. They're going to meet up at 7:45. They sent me a preliminary route, and I'll be sure to follow up and send this information about the route to you all so that you know more about it. I believe we're probably going to do. I don't think they want to necessarily have like a press release or anything of that nature, but I'll definitely keep you all en route. And what they're going to do is 8 to 10 miles down to the Annapolis waterfront and back. There will be something at the waterfront. So at probably Susan Campbell Park, they're going to have speakers. There's a possibility we can have the mayor and others. And I think it would probably be really awesome if members of the transportation board, if anyone's interested in taking part and maybe making comments or anything else, I'll present that opportunity if you all want to. But those are two things to look out for. I also took a visit to the Wheels of Hope. I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but that's the aforementioned site in Crownsville. That's an entire auditorium filled with bicycles to be repaired. They have volunteers that repair them. And so I think there will be an opportunity to also incorporate some of what they're doing into some of our programming in the city, which I think is going to be exciting because a part of all of our transportation conversations, I believe, are creating more opportunities for people to be out and about, and to go to different parts of the city, for people that maybe more isolated, for them to get out. The last thing I'll mention is we've been also working on securing EV assisted tricycles. I don't know if they're called. They're not tricycles, but they're three-wheeled bikes, essentially. Tricycles. But that's pretty exciting too, because before I actually even transitioned in this way, I worked on securing BG&E to help us sponsor, essentially help underwrite the cost of these vehicles to try them out. And I think the core part of this, of the mayor's vision, was to try to find a bridge for some of our senior citizens who live in the city. That, you know, when we have conversations about getting out on a bike and being on a trail and running and walking, it might be a little bit daunting for them in terms of their mobility, but it's an opportunity to demonstrate how those who have a limited mobility can also be on a low riding, I was ready to say tricycle again, a low riding three-wheeled vehicle that's assisted. And so there's a possibility that we'll receive 2 of those. That we've been talking about ways, even with Go Time, Annapolis Go, of being able to interface with some of our senior centers and being able to like really draw the line between how we can meet them where they are. I know, you know, Marcus, as Marcus has stated, it's not always easy for those lines to directly connect with residents because of cost and all the other things. But, you know, that's where we kind of do some outreach and, you know, think outside of the box in ways that we can connect them, because we do have a population that may not be able to, you know, hop on a bike and go on a trail. So it's in consideration of those things. Thank you.
Will, a question about the offensive behavior that was directed at the Push and Pedals riders. Do you think they were identifiable Annapolis residents, or were they just random people who happened to be there from who knows where?
I don't think they were identified. I don't think they, you know, this city, we have an aspect of this city that's pretty transient anyway. So, it'd be hard to know who were Annapolis residents. But I don't think the assumption, I didn't hear that there was an assumption that they were, you know, like my neighbors, you know, that they might have been, you know, that they could have just been people that were here visiting. And
yeah, I just wonder, was it a one-off sad incident, or is it something that will be repeated unless we do something about it?
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is that initially they said it was one incident that happened, which I would say, because it was towards our city center downtown, I was like, well, maybe there were tourists or, you know, some people that were here visiting. But then in subsequent conversations, they said it happened multiple times throughout their ride in the city. Oh. So, you know, that's
bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, but you know, unfortunately.
Okay, thanks very much.
For the minutes, Will, would you repeat the date at Quiet Waters, please?
The 18th, July 18th. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I know that's it's coming up on us.
The next item on the agenda is
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Rao, this is very disheartening, what you have indicated to us. I was wondering, did the group feel the need to have security the next time? Especially since no one was identified.
Yes, ma'am.
And as the public safety chair for the council, that's one of the reasons I'm also asking.
Yes. So thank you for reminding me, because I do need to give you a briefing and an update on that. I'll be sure to send you an email with that information, because you should know about that. So my apologies on that.
That's okay.
And to answer your question, I have worked with Lieutenant Kraus to ensure that we will have APD bike patrol with them. That was the first thing. That was the first thing I thought of, is like, you know, they need to know that, you know, we prioritize not only their safety, but we don't want them to have a bad experience in the city. So yes, is the answer to your question.
Good, because we don't want this to escalate, and we want people to come to the city And if they don't feel safe or they feel put upon, we try to put out as much good news about our city as possible, but all we need is one piece of bad news to really prevent or stop people, or people feel like they can't be safe and welcoming in our wonderful community. And so I'm really concerned about that.
Okay.
I think it's really something that we need to take to heart and try to do as much as we can to make everyone, no matter who they are, feel safe and welcoming to our city.
I agree. So what I'll do is I will, as soon as I get a date, because the date that they gave me, the August 23rd that I mentioned to you all, it was a tentative kind of a working date for them. I did reach out to John Corn and let him know that as soon as we get a definitive date, then I will communicate to you all, because it would be really nice, to your point, Alderwoman, to have you all welcome them and kind of speak to them, and maybe say some of those things when they have the event at City Dock.
Absolutely.
Just to let people know, and maybe we can have some type of story about how friendly and welcoming our city is, and that we don't tolerate racism and hate and all those other things.
All right. And anyone else who wants to join us for that, I think would be extraordinarily helpful to show what we are really like, and that's not us.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next item, we have already heard from Marcus about the Annapolis Transportation Plan update. Beth Dolezal has been involved in one meeting, I guess, of the advisory committee, and was to bring us up to date on that. She's not here tonight. Have any of the rest of you been involved in that and would like to say anything about it? I have not, so I have to depend on you for anything that might have happened.
Hi, Chair. Mr. Dua is here, who has been the project manager with KFH Group. Kwaku, I just gave him a rough and dirty overview. Would you like to just expand on the kickoff meeting that we had a couple weeks ago? I think I see him.
Yeah. He's got a tile there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for being late. I'm not sure what Marcus did cover, but yes, we did have our first kickoff meeting on June 25th. I don't have the list of the attendance, but Beth was there. Basically, we went through the overview of the TDP processes and the various tasks that we do expect the members of the advisory committee to accomplish. So that was well established. We also did talk about additional outreach outreach efforts. If you recall, I think several members of the board, they wanted to participate in the advisory group. And basically, we did suggest that there is another way to do that. So we will be putting a link that will have some additional questions and also offers some opportunities for people to basically provide additional public input to the process. Generally, we expect to wrap this one up by the end of the year. And in that report, we will have short-term, medium-term, and long-term recommendations. In fact, just to link it to the launch micro transit called Go Time Annapolis. That was one of the recommendations in the last TDP. So we take this study seriously. It takes a look at the population structure by cohort, age group. It takes a look at car ownership. It takes a look at land uses, economic activities, because as you know, transportation is a derived demand where people live and where they work at different locations. So we take all this into account, and then over time, the consultant working with the advisory group will actually put out a technical memorandum where the members of the advisory will have the opportunity to comment and provide feedback. And eventually, once that is approved, becomes part of the final document. Once it's done, there is a process that the board will have the opportunity to look at it and make recommendations to council for endorsement or approval, so that once it becomes an official document, then we can use it as a basis for instance, asking for additional federal state grants to implement some of the recommendations. Just briefly, that's what I have. If somebody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, thank you much.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Dubois, is there anything specifically that I should report back to the Transportation Standing Committee to Chairwoman O'Neill or Alderman Savage at this time?
I think the Director Moore, I normally participate in that meeting, so that gives him the opportunity to provide updates from time to time. Director Moore, is that right?
Yeah, Alderwoman O'Neill did come by on Wednesday, and we did some test runs. She's pretty excited about it. I had conversation with Alderman Savage over the weekend about some other stuff. But Alderman Pindell Charles, whenever you get a chance, please stop by. We have a special presentation that we, Kwaku, myself, or Will, or Jamar can do. And any of you, please, to show how this works. It's operating now, and we'd love for you, unannounced, to test our system. Even call us behind the scenes and make sure everything is go. We can get it on your phone. Tyra and I, we're texting back and forth some things that she found, and we'll get that squared away with her tomorrow. But I encourage you and request of you to really please help us, because day one, we carried about, it's 8 o'clock now, from 5:30, we carried about 12 people. And with the minimal marketing that we've done, that was pretty good. The worst case scenario would be if we were overwhelmed and how we have to put more resources there, because this is what people want. That's the worst case, and that would be like a wow worst case. So it'll only get better, but we'd love for you to test it out between now and your next ATB in September. And then let's talk about it. So thank you for those thoughts to help us out here to test it out.
Thank you, Director Moore. Appreciate it.
All right.
As always.
Also, I'm sorry, Chair.
Yeah,
okay?
Go ahead, Will. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have raised my hand. I wanted to give a shout out to Director Moore's rollout of Annapolis Go Time, because the mayor and he had the staff of some of the developers and people who worked on the app and everything, and then my intern and others had an opportunity to ride that day, and it was a pretty fun day. It was actually one of my beginning days, but it was pretty awesome. I don't know if you mentioned that, Marcus, but it was pretty cool.
I didn't, and thank you for that. And one of the things I didn't get a chance, Alderwoman Pindell Charles, with Alderman O'Neill, we actually went to Morris Flume. And so she'll get a chance to tell you how that went and what we're planning to do for you guys. I want to say it's the evening in August. We'll be doing a face-to-face with the developers to show the seniors how they can go from here to there where they want to go. Let's just say Rawls. And that kind of thing. So really it's exciting. We're excited about it. And I want to, thank Will for, him stepping in with his intern with Kwaku, because this has been a long time coming. The RFP went out last summer, and we were going through the evaluation period. We had 19 to start, and then 6 that actually presented, and down to the final 3, and then making that decision. This one they built for us. So it really would be great to to have IT Curves come out and share with you what they've done for us. They've been really personally involved with us, and that's the kind of partner you want to have. Kwaku, would you agree?
Yes. Was talking about that. Also, in terms of shout out to Alderwoman Ellie Tyranny, that is through her budget amendment all the way back in FY 2022, when we were thinking of a free service or use the money for something else. She agreed that she will she made a budget amendment to give us the money for this pilot project. So in terms of funding, it's 100% city funding, thanks to Ellie and her effort. That time, I think she was the chair of the Transportation Committee, and that's one of her accomplishments to bring this to fruition. So I want the board to remember that Ellie actually did help in terms of the funding, and we are very, very grateful to for that.
Okay, thanks much, all. The next item on the agenda relates to a trip that was made by a number of the members of the City Council to the Netherlands last winter, and some other people from the county, and it was very productive. I had my own trip to the Netherlands 3 weeks ago, and have a couple of slides. I want to present a very low-key travelogue emphasizing transportation issues and opportunities that we stumbled across. And with your permission, I will begin. I'll share a screen. And so I'm going to go through a slideshow. If it works, I hope it works. The trip started in Annapolis, of course, and we went to the closest metro that we could. We hopped on the metro for the very first time going to Dulles Airport. So we tried as a personal experiment to see whether the Silver Line on the metro system works to connect us to Dulles Airport. I'm happy to report that it does, although a segment of the overall metro system was broken. The segment that was closest to our point of origin in close to Silver Spring was broken. We had to go to alternative stations, but we got on the thing and it worked pretty well. It did not work well coming back because we had to use an Uber, and it took more time waiting for the Uber than anything else. So we got on the airplane. We flew to the Netherlands, landing at Schiphol Airport. And this is what the airport looks like. It is not just an airport. It is a multimodal transportation system, which has, whoops, this thing is jumping forward against my will. There we go. It's a multimodal system. The airport connects to all of the lines. It's one of the largest airports I guess I've been in. But all of the train stations also converge on Schiphol Airport, as well as parking facilities and bicycles beyond number. So that's what Schiphol looks like, and it was very pleasant to arrive in a place where transportation is well done. We had to go down to a city, the city of Leiden. We went to the train with no reservation, no idea when the train would leave, and found that one train left about every 10 minutes. So there is no waiting. There's no need to know schedules. You just get on the train because there's always a train. Outside of most railroad stations, you find collections of bicycles parked there. Bicycle parking is provided free by every railroad station, every major transit hub, so that it's really easy and secure. There are guards watching these things. It's secure to leave your bicycle there and off you go wherever you need to. And most people do arrive by bicycle. Here we are in the city of Leiden. This is a very typical scene. In front of the windmill, this is Molen de Valk. You find that almost everybody is getting around on two wheels. And this is typical for virtually every Dutch city. If only we could do the same. Here's a typical street scene in a Dutch city. Leiden, I believe, and you'll see that this street, which is closed to traffic except for business replenishing stores by trucks and so forth early in the morning, but it's occupied by bicycles and pedestrians and nobody else, no cars. This is a typical canal scene in the city of Leiden. There is water transport everywhere, although mostly it has a tourist flavor. People don't get around much for transportation purposes by water, but it's very much a tourist draw. In the town of Leiden, I stumbled across all of the streets are very well maintained. You see the flowers up here. There's more vegetation and flowers than you can shake a stick at. Every city goes to great lengths to see that they're maintained. This is a vegetation maintenance vehicle. It goes around and waters and fertilizes and tends all of the plants that are everywhere. And this is an electric vehicle. Another canal scene. Bicycles parked along the canal. This is a typical Dutch train. Arriving on time. There's a saying in Dutch that in Nederland lopen de treinen altijd op tijd, which means that in Netherlands the trains always run on time, and boy do they run on time, to the second. They arrive on the second, they depart on the second with a predictability that I've found nowhere else. Oops, has this now suddenly quit? Huh. I can't go on to the next slide. Bear with me. I may have to unshare and share. Let's try again.
Hey, Kurt, while you're looking, did you notice that many commuters had two bikes at the start of their trip? They took the train, and at the other side, they leave them at the train station.
Indeed.
Which we thought was pretty cool. That the first mile, last mile, going to work, coming home, which was really pretty cool.
Indeed. This is not working. No, I gotta open up something. Oh, I apologize for these technical difficulties, but I've got to open an app again. There we go. And then find my list of slides. What would that be? Transportation board. Oh no, that's man. Okay, let's see if this is it. All right, we saw that one before. There's a typical scene again. Another Dutch windmill. By the way, the windmills, these are mostly there for historical purposes.
I'm not seeing the sharing anymore. Is anyone seeing the sharing? Forgive me.
Oh, thank you.
No, nothing shared.
Did not happen, huh? Hang on, I'll get there. All right, I may have to click this. It is not performing and I can't seem to start it. But let me just summarize. There is a slideshow. I will summarize what the rest of the slides depict, and they do depict a system which is working quite well everywhere, as you might imagine. There is one fare card, looks just like a credit card. You charge it up at any railroad station, and it can be used to pay for transport anywhere in the country on any mode of transport. So there's none of this business about fooling with fare cards, different fare systems, different schedules, and so forth. Everything is on one fare card, and you swipe it on getting onto the train or getting onto the bus, and you swipe it when you get off. It's all taken care of electronically, and it takes basically zero time to move from one mode of transport to another. It's really well worked out. The trains are very friendly to bicycles. They arrive frequently and on time, and they go virtually everywhere. We went all over the country of the Netherlands with no car, and felt relieved not to have the bother of a car, which would have been a burden on us, not a help. The fares are quite low. I expect they're partly subsidized by the government of the Netherlands. Also, usage is quite high. A key to success in any transit system is that lots of people use it because it's the best way to get around. And I have every confidence that if we can get people into the Annapolis transit system in large numbers, that the popularity will grow. That popularity will generate increasing demand and increasing possibilities for funding it for the long term. And the key is igniting it, getting people to use it. And that was one of the main reasons for our earlier proposal, that we look really hard at finding a way to get large numbers of people moving into public transit as soon as possible by making at least the first years of it fare free. So that's really all I wanted to say. Sorry, the rest of the slides didn't come along. They're quite beautiful. One last thing about bicycles. Yes, everybody gets around by bicycles, young and old. One of the things that you notice about Dutch riders is that they don't wear helmets. Nobody wears a helmet. And they look at people, Americans that arrive with a helmet, and they find it quite strange. And nobody wears a helmet. And the other thing that is unusual is, to the American eye, is that everybody rides upright. This business of crouching over a racing bicycle as if you were in the French race is not something. They don't look like that. They look like they're comfortable sitting erect and upright on the bicycles. You have young people, old people. You have 3, 4 people on one bicycle. There are large numbers of cargo bikes transporting groceries, 2 and 3 children in the cargo bike. And the post is delivered by cargo bikes, not by cars. And many grocery stores and delivery services use them as well. So two-wheeled transport is not only for the recreational rider, as is mostly the case in the United States. It is transportation. It's the basic form of transportation. You ask a Dutchman if he gets any exercise, and they complain, "No, I really feel guilty. I get no exercise. I only bicycle 10 miles a day." And so it's a different perspective. That's really all I wanted to say on that subject. Just a taste of our summer vacation. We're at that point in the agenda now. Any question on the Netherlands, or any observations of your own? It's a cool place. Let's go around the membership. First on the list is Zoe Johnson.
I have nothing else to report.
All right, Tara.
Yeah, I did submit, I think maybe for the May meeting, maybe it was the June, the update on the commuter bus line. So happy to report that they did not cancel the commuter bus lines that leave Annapolis. Instead, on July 1st, they started a new schedule, which is similar to the old S schedule or holiday schedule, which they should have been doing all along. So they were pretty well preserved. Most of the people that I meet during my commute seem to have fared fine with the new schedule. I think for some of the people that really get into DC by 6 a.m., I think they have to really get up even earlier now because there are limited buses for that sort of time slot. But most of the folks that I met are fine, unaffected, and very happy to know that the commuter buses have continued.
You're too modest. In my opinion, it was your input that made all the difference.
You know, I never did get the transcripts from those public meetings, but I did have some fun with it. So yeah.
Neat. Thank you, Tara. Taylor is not here. Beth is not here. Tom? Is he still on board? Tom Schock was here earlier. I don't see him just now. John Giannetti is not here. David? You're muted.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Just a couple things. Yeah, I saw. I've been to the Netherlands and had some similar experiences. Although I did encounter some late trains and things. But one interesting thing that I'd just like to add is there's a pretty darn good app called Trainline. So that even from here, if you want to book space, seats on European trains, including the Netherlands, at a time, and as you say, Kurt, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you can, and you can pay with an app, and then through this app here, and then when you go and show up at you just board the train and they scan your QR code, and it works very well. The other thing, so I don't have anything nearly as interesting as Kurt to show the group, except an interesting little historical tidbit, if I can get it to work. So I'm going to play a video, and this one, the sound is irrelevant. So I'm going to try this real quick and see if I can get this to work.
We aren't seeing anything.
David, are you still there? We're not seeing anything.
And you're muted.
All right. Anyway, if anyone's interested, I have a short video clip. So when every once in a while, every probably 8 years or more, when the city decides the Church Circle needs to be repaved, they scrape away the old pavement. You can see the streetcar rails. So I have a video of that. Now, of course, now it's since been repaved and it's no longer visible, but if anybody's interested in the historical record of where the streetcar rails were, I have it in video.
I think that's pretty funny because I took a picture of that same thing on my to the bus.
But people don't believe it. People don't believe that we had rail here.
Yeah, and the very old yellow brick still underneath all that pavement, all that tar.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. Vince
I'll share a link to that video.
Thanks. Vince Harriman isn't here. Hugh?
Nothing else from me.
Okay. Ed Bergman? Is he here? He seems to have dropped off, I think. And then finally myself. That's it. The meeting is over. I'm going to, as an addendum for those who would like to stay, I will continue with the slideshow, but with your permission, I will terminate the formal meeting right now. All right, let's look at this.